Sci Fi story by ChairForceOne. An impact reverberates through the hole. I hit something that's not showing up on sensors. Something massive. My old, heavy cruiser came to a dead stop, but didn't bounce off. I pull the sensor logs. This ship is too old to have an AI on board. The rudimentary automation has trouble with anomalies. A fair trade for the hulking armored hull bristling with cannons and an old slam drive. Makes pretty quick work of pirates. I mumbled to myself. Something's cloaked, and I'm partially in the field. This old, converted warship lacks the sensors of a science vessel. Well, lacked. A bit old, but I did retrofit a better array onto it. Must have drifted into its pull while I was napping. Bringing the engines back up, I slowly pushed through the cloaking field. What the sensors reveal is very interesting. An outpost, perhaps? Might be a manufacturing facility or a dockyard. Not sure whose it is, but it's been idle for a long time. Docking was thankfully straightforward. Standardized ports must have been around for a very long time, long before mankind roamed the stars. My data link isn't talking though, manual entry it is. Walking down the corridor to the armory, I take inventory of my options. They are plentiful. First is a Mark I heart suit, old but not nearly outdated. A walking fortification with inbuilt life support and an aggressive interface. Climbing in and linking your nerves through an implanted interface removes the lag of the newer suits. Though, for those not attuned to it, it can make quite the mess of your brain and limbs. Barbaric but functional. Weaponry gives me a few options. Electromagnetic flak gun and an arc torch linked to the suit's power source. Flak gun for any remaining security bots, and a torch to remove any doors, bulkheads, or armor in the way. The suit has a good array of sensors and observation on its own. My first obstacle is the airlock into the station. No exterior controls, no data link. The exterior hatch doesn't seem all that sturdy though. Using the suit's actuators as an aid, I force the hatch. Walking in doesn't reveal much. Dim lighting illuminates the drab transition into the structure. Closing the exterior hatch brings a panel to life. With a bit of guesswork, I pressurize the lock. Atmosphere is breathable, but unknown pathogens are present. Was planning to keep the suit on anyway. Might as well keep the visor down. Slowly, as I made progress through the structure, systems start to come back to life. Annoyingly, the defense systems are still functioning. Sleek but ineffective bots modeled after trash cans were the first line. They rattle off what I imagine were warnings. The old Mark I suits were built for war, not diplomacy, before opening fire. Walking calmly through the onslaught of fire, mostly non-kinetic, I made short work of the bots, simply smashing them flat with an armored fist. Mapping my way along, I head deeper. The core of the structure was my destination. Might be a few databanks still viable. The outer section seemed to be mostly habitats, sleeping quarters, mess halls, and what are probably rec rooms. Not much stood out. At some point, I must have crossed into a higher security section. Thick bulkheads block my way. Armor-mounted turrets vigilantly scan for intruders. The turrets do look impressive and might have worked on whoever this place was meant to keep out. Adjusting the choke on the flak gun lets me take out targets at a distance more easily. Small caliber, medium velocity rounds ping off my armor as I demolish their source. EM-accelerated armor fragments tear the turrets to pieces, and the occasional trash spots get punted into the offending turrets as well. As the arc torch chews through the bulkhead, I glimpse something interesting. 4 stout spider-like legs, 2 arms carrying rotary cannons, sleek black armored exoskeletons. These things are usually called centurions. Old bots, sturdy as hell, and hard to deal with. I can't remember which race built them first, but a few used them back in the day. Good guard dogs that never sleep. The question is twofold. Are they still functional, and do they have shield generators? If they are tethered and there's power cords still left on standby, they're probably still good to go, barring mechanical failure. Now for the shields. I'm no historian nor archaeologist. Depending on the vintage of this place, the inner defenses can be quite stout. These old structures from the Lost War vary greatly. The races involved fought for centuries. The Centurion is still silent, but my sensors are reading an active core. Swapping over from frag to AP shells is a safe bet. I like to leave it be if I could. They are worth a pretty penny intact. Weapon ready, I break the boundary into the next section. Almost instantly, the bot swivels over and opens fire. Rounds thunder out of its cannon, pinging off my armor. Returning a single shot downs it. It was shielded, but whether it was an earlier model or just worn down, my round rips through its core. It shudders before crumbling to the floor. Looking over the wreck, I notice it does look to be a later model based on the armor thickness. The Lost War was one of those phased plasma cannons and other exotic energy weapon systems. The shields might have been heavily tuned away from kinetic threats. Laboratories, I imagine, are what I find past the platoon of Centurions. Looking closely, I note that the databanks have been removed from the equipment, but I see a few familiar things. Viral research, most likely not for peaceful purposes. That explains the sensor readings. The deeper I go, the darker the picture painted. Equipment used for genetic enhancement, clone vats, things we learned long ago to be wary of. We don't have records of how the war ended, but we do know that the races that participated are long extinct. Terrans learned before the discovery of FTL travel to exercise great caution in engineering biological war machines. We almost wiped ourselves out. The Mark I suit and interface I have are both remnants of those days. While I'm still around, most of the Phase 1 enhanced soldiers either died due to genetic breakdown, melted into a soup of proteins, or lost their sanity and went mad. Unfortunately, they made us damn near immortal. We don't age and can survive far more hellish conditions than any normal Terran. Such in-depth remodeling has been long banned on both Terra and in the Alliance. This place must not be allowed any longer. I'll have to see what powers this macabre outpost. Either set a charge and vacate, or use a slam drive in my ship to tear it apart.